Survivor specialist Phil and Phil-In are back. Okay, good. It is switching back and forth. I don't know how to change that. Survivor Game Changers episode 3, I guess we're calling it at this point. It seems like that's what CBS wants to call it. So we're going to call it episode 3, and it's in the bag. Caleb is gone on day 9 yet again. And, you know, here we are. I just want to make a quick note. Survivor Millennials vs. Gen X episode 3 was the first time Alexa came into all of your lives. So I made sure to, you know, address that and just copy and pasted the that for the info of this. So you'll see, like, it now says Phil and Will's female doppelganger or something like that. So you're not filling in the info on this one, which I'm sure you're excited about. But
well, I'm honored that I'm not filling, but I would love to know whose doppelganger I am.
Well, you were Will's female doppelganger, because I
I would say that Will and I look pretty similar.
Yeah, it's close. But this was I thought this episode was a lot better than the premiere. Just me.
Well, this one was better because we just had more character development. This was such a character-oriented episode, and it was great because you don't get a lot of those in newer seasons because they're so strategy-based. But I know we're going to talk about it. But we have Haley, the lawyer. We have Brad, who loves his interior decorating. We have the goats. Obviously, there was a little bit of strategy involved, but it was just such a cool episode because we actually got to know the players for once.
And can we talk about, I mean, since you brought it up in the predictions, I would say we continue with the cute edit for Brad here.
I said that as soon as he said he picked up those globes, which we also need to talk about. Where did everyone get these nice decorative globes from that they can just hang from trees?
Those are coconuts that are probably painted and like have a rope tied around them or something.
They're big. They're like, Brad was lifting up too, and they looked like basketball sized.
I don't know. I'm assuming they were coconuts. I didn't get that good of a look at them.
I don't know. Well, I was paying a lot of attention to them because I thought, what are these doing on this island? But anyways, yeah, Brad gets the cute Brad edit continues, and I'm going to use that word for a while because he's adorable. He and Monica are the cutest couple, and Monica's not even on this season. And I feel like I've gotten to know her better.
And I think it's kind of cool that I was like disgusted by them in Blood versus Water. I'm not a Monica fan. I really am not. And so for like at least her gameplay, I didn't feel like she really deserved the second chance, and she comes out the second time. And it seemed like, yeah, people were more negative on her than they probably had to be because of her husband. But I didn't like love Monica. And now I'm starting to be like, oh man, this is like the better version of Rob and Amber when Rob came back for Redemption Island.
Yeah, and now Brad's entire game plan is based off of hashtag what would Monica do? And I hope he continues to bring that up. I don't know if he will, but I'm going to bring that up because I think it's such a funny quote. So yeah, he's running with it, and he's getting the cute edit, and he was integral in Caleb going home. Basically single-handedly flipped Ty, which as I've learned now, flipping Ty is not very difficult. But tonight was a Brad episode.
Well, what was interesting about the Brad, first of all, he got like the inspirational kind of redemption hero music early on. And then he also has that moment where he's talking to Ty on the beach and he says, I know you're friends with Caleb, but this is actually going to hurt you come merge time. And I thought that was a great argument because pretty much Ty was like, you don't think we need Brad, or you don't think we need Caleb? Like, really? You don't think so? And I thought that was great of Ty to say. And then Brad's like, well, look, it's just going to hurt you later on. And that's Brad getting what he wants, but making Ty think it's his idea.
See, I think Ty's question of you don't think we need Caleb, I think that might have been, I could be wrong here, but I think that might have been a bit of a language barrier because he said a follow-up question that was like, right? We need him, right? So I think there's a little bit of miscommunication there, and Brad was smart enough to be able to capitalize on that and smart enough to just know that, yeah, Caleb and Ty are close, but if you tell Ty to do something, he's probably just going to do it. He's a loyal person, but he's such a bad ally to have.
See, I actually think Ty in this move was proving that he's willing to think outside of the game. I think that he's actually in the game this time is what I mean. Because he's not using this, oh, I'm friends with Caleb, oh, we got along so well, and now I have to be his alliance the whole time. I actually think that this was Ty kind of proving to other people, like, I'm here to play. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't really know. I don't think it really matters for Ty because I don't think people are going to take him seriously anyway. But I actually think this was a smarter move on his part because now people won't be like, oh, well, Ty's just attached to people. It's like, oh, Ty's willing to play.
See, I really don't think it was, I mean, I think he thinks he's in the mindset of I'm here to play. I think his quote in tribal council was, I need to think long term, not short. But I really think he was just spitting out exactly what Brad was putting into one ear. I don't think he was sold on what he was saying. I think he just said it because it sounded right.
I don't know. I mean, Ty says the wrong thing all the time. So
that's exactly it. He's just kind of in this, like, yeah, he really liked Caleb, and I wasn't surprised that he flipped. Because he's flipped before, and obviously he and Caleb had an actual true friendship. Cool from Caleb's perspective, because so many people don't like Caleb for all of his pregame comments and stuff, but that's what I liked about their relationship. They were two people who never would have gotten together otherwise, and the kissing on the cheeks and the forehead were so adorable. But Ty voted him out because Brad told him to, and that's what he was thinking about at that moment. It's kind of like whoever talks to Ty before you go to tribal council is who Ty's going to vote for.
No, and that's probably true. I mean, we saw it happen last in Koron the last time he played when Aubry just was able to play him so easily to get him to turn on Scott and Jason. I mean, it was so simple. It wasn't even there was no effort involved. So, I mean, it does make sense. And I think this is Ty saying, I'm here to play. And I think it's him proving he's here to play. But at the same time, it's still proving he's just as disloyal as he was the last time he played, which I think is what you're kind of saying. And, yeah, it depends on how this tribe looks at it. I really hope Haley's not a sitting duck there because I don't think she deserves to be.
I don't think Haley's a sitting duck. I don't know. I think he thinks he's ready to play, but he doesn't. I don't think he knows how to play. I really don't. I think Brad's going to tell him, okay, now it's Haley, or now it's Debbie, now it's whatever, and he'll go with it, and that's fine. That's the way he's playing. But I don't see. He talked about this episode was no, not Caleb. No, not Caleb. I like Caleb. He made his relationship with Caleb so obvious, and obviously it was pretty obvious. I just said the word obvious like 3 times in the past sentence, but he's friends with Caleb, and that was like his thing, and he was very happy with that. See past that, I just really don't think he has the strategic mindset to his own game.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about these tribes real quick, because I was really excited to see Ty and Caleb at least get to play on the same tribe again, because I knew it would cause at least some sort of storyline. So let's just rattle off the tribes real quick and just give like initial thoughts. I mean, we had Tavua, which was the new tribe, which was Troyzan, Zeke, Ozzy, Sari, Andrea, and Sarah. We got Mana, which is Caleb, Brad, Ty, Haley, Sierra, and Debbie. And then Nuku, the one that everybody knew going in, was Malcolm, Varner, JT, Sandra, Michaela, and Aubry. And initially, I look at these and I just go, wow, Mana's going to lose every single time.
Yeah, I mean, especially now with Caleb gone, Brad is going to be quite literally carrying this team on his back. Mana's not looking too hot. Shame on us for for Nuku was going to lose. We assumed. We made a massive assumption, and you know what happens when you assume. Shame on us for assuming that, because they didn't go home. They crushed that challenge. And I think they got, in hindsight's 2020, attention because they're a really exciting tribe to just watch. All the scenes that were taking place in the Nuku Beach were really crazy and really fun. So, you know what? Even though they won, I'm really happy that we got to spend as much time with Nuku as we did.
Well, and I thought they did a pretty good job tonight of letting us spend a little bit of time with everybody. And I know we didn't hear from Sarah, except for her big reaction to Tony being gone. And who else did we not hear from? I know we didn't really hear too much from Aubry, but I thought it was pretty cool that we got to see so much of Nuku. We got to see so much of Vanua, Tavua, Troyzan tribe. We're going to call it green because Will and I never say them right. So we're going to call it green. We got to spend a lot of time.
The tribe that Troyzan is on.
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't like we spent a lot of time with them, but we saw that Troyzan was clearly on the bottom. We saw Andrea lie to him terribly. And then we saw Ozzy and Sari try to talk it out. We saw Ozzy talking to Zeke. The only one we didn't really hear from was Sarah. And I like that we actually got to hear from all 3 tribes. And this is why I love the 3-tribe dynamic, because it's easier to jump around because you don't have to spend so much time at one because there's only 6 people to check in with. You don't have to check in with 10 or not.
Yeah, that's a really good point. But when it comes to Tavua, I think, yeah, that is a weird tribe to pronounce. That's I have to find the right way to do that. We got not so little from them. It was, if it wasn't Brad's episode, it was Troyzian's episode with him finding a clue and then finding the idol. But other than Troyzian's idol hunt, and then the Suri Ozzy hopefully merging together and working together, I'm praying desperately for it. Sarah said nothing. Zeke said, I think Zeke had one confessional. Andrea had a moment of, wow, she really can't lie. She's a really bad liar.
Terrible.
That's why her acting career hasn't taken off. But I think I'm trying to figure out where the tribal lines will break up if they are to go to a tribal council, because Troyzan does have the idol. Someone might find out about it. If he's smart about it, he won't tell anyone. But I don't really know where they're going to go strategy-wise. Seems pretty tied to Suri. So things are looking up for her, because now that the tribe is so much smaller, she and Ozzy need each other. And then having Zeke on there, they can grab Troy. They can go one way. They could grab Sarah. There's a lot of different ways they can go with it, but I guess we didn't really get much of a chance to see it. Also, sidebar, this is in Millennials versus Gen X as well. Do you notice that every time that Zeke is in a confessional, it looks very photoshopped?
It's because he doesn't look like a character who should be in this situation.
I think it's his shirts. I think it has something to do with the colors against the gorgeous blue background. I don't know, but every single time it looks like he's just superimposed onto a green screen that has some generic island in it. I know that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I wrote it down and I thought it was fun.
It's good to throw in. You never know. Maybe they had to shoot all of his in post. They couldn't get him done during the show. But what I do find interesting about this tribe is Suri and Ozzy, I feel like we're getting like that they might team up a little bit. But my thing is, it doesn't look like either of them tried to pull in Troy. And if neither of them tried to pull in Troy, who is Troyzan going to go for first? Smart. If he's smart, he takes out one of those two, because they're the two biggest threats on his tribe. He doesn't know anything about Zeke. Andrea's terrible, and Sarah's kind of like a non-entity. So why would you not take out Suri or Ozzy if you go to tribal and know you're getting the votes? Who are you going to throw your votes at? It should be them.
I feel like Troy would probably try to go for Ozzy because Ozzy's the other challenge threat. Though at the same time, Troy knows that he's at the 5-1 disadvantage, so he needs to keep winning immunity challenges. Because at this one, at the most recent immunity challenge, when it was just down to them and it was just them versus the Mana tribe, I think.
Yeah, the one who lost.
He could have gotten the idol, but then he would have had the idol and they still would have gone to tribal, so he would have had to use it. Now, he already has tribal immunity. He has 3 more days with that idol. So keep Ozzy so that he can hold on to his idol longer. That's the reason to keep Ozzy around.
And I'll be honest, Will and I always talked about how excited we would be when these 3 tribes, they never vote, 2 tribes never go to tribal. And next week we're getting 2 tribes finally going to tribal. This is something that I thought they should have done for years. They should have done this the first time. It's an easy double boot. Instead of having, random, double boot episodes, do it now when there's 3 tribes and 2 are going to lose. So really only 1 deserves immunity. Make 2 of them go to tribal. And I'm excited that's happening next week. That's the only time I fear for this Tavua tribe to lose. If they get through that one, they are not going to tribal council, because they are going to finish first or second every time. I know they didn't have a great performance today, but these other tribes, if they start, now you've lost Caleb on one tribe, so they are now clearly weaker than this Tavua tribe. Nuku, they had a good one today, but I don't trust them. They gave up the lead. They almost blew it. I really think that this tribe is just the strongest one. And if they can get through the double elimination next week, they're going to finish first or second every time.
See, I still have a little bit of confidence in Nuku when it comes to challenges. Obviously, they didn't do as well as they could have, but they still won. They still got first place in the immunity challenge. Michaela could finally prove that she's good in challenges. They put her in the obstacle course.
And she got dragged on her face.
At one point, she gets dragged on her face down the ramp, which was such a funny visual. But at one point, she was dragging, I think it was Malcolm, who for a second she was going to untie the bucket and someone was getting dragged behind her. So at that point I was like, hell yeah, Michaela's like, she's all in it. And then she turns around and gets dragged. So maybe it was a weird karma thing, but at least she's had her chance to show that she can be a physical threat. I think because 2 tribes go in tribal council, obviously the odds are not in anyone's favor, but I still have faith in Nuku as a challenge threat.
I would be really surprised next week. I will say I would be very surprised next week if Mana doesn't go to Tribal Council. 2 tribes losing. I'd be very surprised if they're not back there. And I really hope Haley's on a sitting duck. I really do.
Haley, Sierra, Debbie, Ty, Brad. That's not my fantasy team when it comes to mini challenges. And speaking of fantasy teams, there's Phil. Same wave you made when you met Michelle. Speaking of fantasy teams, I am the only one with the perfect fantasy team so far, and I'm very happy about it, and I wanted to bring that up.
I just want to throw out, too, if we were going by power rankings, Alexa had Caleb at 6, I had Caleb at 9. So I wanted you to go first so I get the last word, cut you at the knees.
Honestly, that neither of us were impressive on that one, but take your win. Take it. Fine.
Well, I mean, I'll take my little victory here. I got Caleb for 9 days, whatever. I'm beating Will right now in terms of our first.
We're beating Will, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, to be honest. So what else do we have here? Sorry. What I do want to talk about, and I think this is very important to bring up. I think this is complete BS, and I'm very happy Tavua won the tribe. Made it through this. They didn't win, so I'm glad they got second place and didn't have to go to tribal. What I think is complete BS is that Jeff says to them, you guys are starting over. You're starting with what you had on day 1. You have a little bit of rice, water, whatever, and like a pot. They got chickens. They got fruit. It looked like Dalton Ross said it looked like a Whole Foods. Like, are you kidding? And now you're going to give these people like nothing and say that that's how everybody else started? Absolutely not.
Jeff immediately throws flint at them.
Oh my!
Like I know that like after you go to tribal, you get flint because you have fire, whatever. But I think that goes back to I mentioned that very briefly last recap. But I love the survival aspect so much of this show, and I understand that it isn't the main aspect of Survivor anymore, but. That goat scene was so cool, and we don't get that anymore. And it's just so crazy that they were like, "Oh yeah, here's nothing, but here's your Whole Foods," and then they just like build a shelter, and we don't even see them. Do they have a shelter? I don't know. Probably.
No. And what I'm saying is, I'm not talking. No. And I'm not talking about that Tavua got a Whole Foods. I'm talking about that at the beginning of the game. And no, I completely think it's bull crap that they got Flint too, because you didn't start with that. Jeff lied to us a lot tonight. And all I want to say is,
Jeff's a liar.
I'm saying what Jeff said they got. He said this is what you started the game with. Tell me what those people had when they were throwing stuff off the boats. And tell me it was only rice and only a pot. And they had so much food. Those 2 tribes are going back to so much food. And you're going to give this tribe nothing and say they're starting with the same thing. I like the survival aspect, and I hear what you're saying. What I don't get is if you're going to do the survival aspect, you can't have a tribe that's been out there for 6 days just randomly have to start like old school Survivor while the other tribes are sitting there feasting.
Like a Fiji have versus have nots. I mean, obviously it wasn't, that is to the max, but yeah, no, it's kind of ridiculous. But they won, they survived. So, good for them.
Yeah.
Who needs it?
I'm happy they won.
Yeah, but at least they dropped a little message in a bottle, and now Troy Zan's in a power position. So you should be happy about that, because I know how much you love Troy Zan.
Happy. I will. I that's all I was worried about when I saw that shakeout. I was like, I have him at number 1. I have him as my winner pick. I'm like one of the few people who loves Troy Zan, and he's going to get booted here. No, absolutely. But he finds a way. I'm telling you, I was very happy he found that idol, and also his acting performance. I know you were laughing about it, but
that was terrible performance.
But no, it's not. I thought it was great. You're wrong. I thought it was great because he went over and he went behind the table. And he kneels down acting like, oh, my God, I can't believe we won. I'm so exhausted. That was so close, blah, blah, blah. That was so close.
Exhausted. All he did was untie 3 knots.
Doesn't matter. He was acting like he was so, like the adrenaline was rushed. It was so much adrenaline. And he reached down and grabbed that. None of them thought twice about it. I thought that was great. Any other way you do that, you're screwed because they're going to be like, what's he reaching under the table for? Like, is he taking a pee? What's he doing?
Well, obviously, yeah, he had to make his way over there. I think he could have stood a little closer. He could have stood on the shorter end, a little closer to Sari, because if you notice, Sari started copying him. She started throwing her head down on the table with him. That was super funny. That was some I don't know, so some sociological something going on. But he could have gone on this side and then grabbed it instead of going face on, because this whole tribe is hanging out on the other side of the table, and he's sitting over here like praying, like hitting the ground. Obviously, it looks bad to us because we're the viewer, and I'm just like, oh my God, Troyzan, it's right there. Oh my God, it's right there. But also, and then he stuffs it in his crotch when he's wearing cargo pants. Cargo pants have how many pockets? And he pulls an atom and just does the crotch idol.
And not for nothing, that was a large package of idol. So not making any comments here, but that was a large package of idol.
I really don't like your phrasing there.
Anyway, moving on. But I thought it was
quickly
good.
on.
I really did. I thought it was good. I thought he did it the way he had to. His tribe was on the other side. Get as far from your tribe as you can. They don't see you doing it. And why are they ever going to go back there? And Troy was over there, and he picks it up, and he grabs it, puts it in his crotch, and here comes Troyzan, the king of the island. This might be his island.
Crotch, and I hope no one hugs him because he's got a massive idol in his pants.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. Hopefully.
Okay, well, let's move on before this gets weird.
Moving on. So we can talk. Let's talk JT. Because we didn't talk about that yet.
I want to talk about the goats. So let's go to the Nuku beach.
Okay. Well, I think before we get to the goats, I think we should talk about probably something that made Jeff Varner the happiest I've ever seen Jeff Varner. And that's JT dragging them out to the water and then going back looking for idols. Jeff Varner was so impressed by this, and I thought it was great. And I thought this was actually the best move JT can make at that point because I think he knows he's doomed.
But what was so insane about that scene is I think it was a great move on JT because also – I broke the the spear in a very quick Caleb scene. You see him holding a spear, and theirs is broken too. They're not taking great care of this stuff, but I know that doesn't matter.
They don't have to survive anymore, Alexa. You said that.
Yeah, that's true because they live in a Whole Foods.
Yeah,
that's super funny. I like that. I think it was a great move by JT. He had to go get pliers or whatever. But what's so insane to me is that they're all sitting there and they're like, Caleb's totally looking for an idol. And they don't do anything. They just sit there. Yeah. It was crazy. Why didn't anyone swim back and get him? I was like, what? You're all giggling about it? It was ridiculous.
Well, let me look at the tribe. I guess Malcolm could have swam back, but then the rest of them might have floated out to sea. I mean,
I'm curious if it was JT mentioned that he took them about a half a mile out. I'm curious if it was actually half a mile because I think a half mile swimming is longer than you think. I know I probably couldn't swim half a mile because I'm a horrible swimmer. But you would think that even if Malcolm is the only one who could quote unquote actually do it, they were like, we still got the advantage. Meh. They were so meh about it, and that blew my mind.
But hey, I don't. Like I said, Varner was so impressed by it. He thought it was like a cool move, and nobody really seemed like you said they were very mad. They didn't seem that mad. I don't think a lot of them are realizing if he gets this idol, what it's going to do to them. But I also don't think they're worried because I think that in their minds they're saying, we're going to get rid of Aubry. I don't think any of them really care for Aubry all that much. At least that's the vibe I'm getting. I think the other three are tighter, or the other four are tighter, and Aubrey's kind of on the outside looking in of that. So I think they're like, well, if JT gets it, we'll just vote for Aubry or something like that. Maybe we can get it to split between him and Aubry or something.
I can't tell if they like Aubry or not. I don't have a good vibe on her because she hasn't said much. We haven't gotten a lot from her.
Which I'm really surprised by considering how much of a fan favorite she was in her season.
I think it could be a combination of she's purposely laying low, so maybe there just isn't that much material right now. Sure, it is a little weird. Or maybe or on the flip side, they really just don't connect with her. It's odd that, although I guess anyone can get along with Malcolm. Everyone likes Malcolm. He's such a good narrator, and he's so funny. He said something super funny about Sandra. I think he said, "Oh, Sandra doesn't give a damn," which is her MO about life. That was super funny.
Yeah, and fine, you can pull in your goat scene. And a lot of people, I'm looking at our comments now, and people are saying, JT should have been making bonds. He was making bonds, and he used this goat scene as a way to make bonds. He didn't want to catch the goats, but he was like, well, let's go see if we can get them, and we'll bond over it. And it worked. And
they quite literally, they had a tribal council for those goats. Yeah, and JT kind of led it. It was a really good move because I think it might have been Malcolm who said this. He was like, a lot of people don't want to kill this goat, but no one wants to be the one to outwardly say it against Sandra, who's on her murderous warpath of humans and goats. And so I think having that quote unquote tribal council and having Varner be like, I guess maybe, that put JT in a better position because it the murderous goat category and everyone else in the people with a heart category.
Yeah. No, and not for nothing, not only did JT bond with them, he also kind of made them probably question Sandra even more than they're probably already questioning her power. So he might have made them, he might be able to say, look, she was ready to kill the goat. She's not really a part of your tribe. Still think JT is in a lot of trouble over there. But I think he did, for somebody who left his whole tribe to literally drown, I thought he did a very good job of then bonding with them, catching the goat, doing all that. Malcolm's like about to cry. Varner was crying. I mean, Varner was actually crying. And Sandra's just like, so we got to let the little goat go? Okay, bye, little goat. Like, what? Like, she didn't care.
What is more heartless, murdering a baby goat or leaving 5 of your tribe mates out to die on the water?
Hey, that is let's see if people respect animals or people more. Here we go.
Yeah, let's put that on a Twitter poll and see if that's controversial at all.
5 survivor players, five like Cameron Hogs, or 1 baby goat. What do you guys think?
I'm going out on a limb. I never could. I would have voted keep the baby goat. That was the cutest little thing I've ever seen. And I figured they weren't going to kill it, but I was like sweating. I wouldn't have had it in me. I probably would have eaten it if someone else killed it and I didn't watch, but oh man, yeah, that was a crazy scene. I'm really glad that only Sandra wanted to kill it, because I'm glad they didn't show that. Also, I saw something funny that said Sandra, the mother of 2, is willing to kill the mother and the baby, and JT, the cattle rancher, is like, no, we got to keep them alive.
That's great. I love it. Hey,
Sandra's evil.
There's a reason Sandra's won twice.
Because she kills goats.
She does. Hey, she'll kill whoever she has to get to the end and win.
Exactly.
That's
as long as it's not me. That's her strategy. As long as it's not me.
Yeah, exactly. Hey.
Yeah, I think JT. Everyone is saying that JT needs to make bonds. I think he did as well as he could in the first couple days on his tribe, but I'm curious about how much intuition he has, because when you see Tony's gone and Sandra's still here, one would assume that it was a Sandra versus Tony thing, unless everyone was against Tony. But because Tony has such a loud personality, because Sandra has such a loud personality, obviously they're going to clash. So maybe JT was thinking Sandra's kind of leading the show here, and he could probably tell early on because they were all just like, Sandra, what's the move, Sandra? So I think he knows to slow play it because they're all so in on Sandra that he had to find a chink in the armor, wait until they disagree with Sandra on something, and then he pounces.
Yeah, and they did disagree on something, and he found a way to force the hand. I just think he's on the wrong tribe, because other than Michaela, and I don't know how Aubry's playing it this time, but other than Michaela, I don't think anybody else is taking it all that seriously. And I honestly don't think JT's even taking it all that seriously. I think they're out there and they know that this is for everybody out there, this is their 3rd time playing. Varner, Malcolm, JT, and Sandra. So for those 4, it's their 3rd time playing. And I think they're kind of just like, this is a good time, guys. Like, we're having the time of our lives. This is fun. Whatever. We're hanging out. Look at Sandra doing her thing. Look at Varner doing his thing. Look at JT doing. And I think it's kind of bad news for JT, because I don't think they're looking at it as, if we get rid of JT, I feel bad for him, or man, we really like JT and don't like Sandra. I think they're looking at it as, I like everybody out here. We're playing a game. Let's get rid of JT.
But that's why I think JT should as an ally, because it's, as you mentioned, Aubry is kind of on the outs with them. And I bet Aubry is taking it very seriously. I don't see Aubry as the kind of person to go out to just like have a good old time on Survivor. I think she's, I don't want to say shaken up, but she's probably still a little thrown off from Co-Wrong, and just knows, I have to be quiet right now because of this target on my back. And look, there's not much of a target on her right now because no one talks about her.
No, it's true. It's true. Nobody's talking about Aubry. And I feel like that's what she had to do coming into the season. She's coming in. I mean, we talked about it to death in our predictions for this season, the cast assessment, all that. Aubry is doomed because she's the most recent person in everybody's mind. She's done a really good job at being, no, I'm not. Guys, look, I'm not really that great. And you know what? Seriously, in Co-Wrong, she kind of did the same thing, where she wasn't that prominent of a force pre-merge. It was post-merge where her game really, really picked up. Pre-merge, she was on the bottom, and then she kind of worked her way up, but was quiet still. It was post-merge where she took control. And I think that's her game again, all over again.
Also, minus Caleb, Sierra and Tony were super loud in the pre-merge, and look where they are. They're gone. So yeah, I don't blame Aubry for being quiet. I'm not too concerned about that yet.
What do you think? And okay, so now let's finally. I think we should finally go over to Mana, the tribe that ends up losing. And do you think that Caleb only went home because of this tie situation? Do you really think that's all that happened, that he really did nothing wrong and that's why he went? Or were we not being shown something again like we clearly weren't shown during Korong, as we've heard from some of the people?
Oh, you think in terms of Caleb as a person?
Yeah, like, do you think that there's more to this Caleb edit that we're just not seeing?
His edit is funky. I read before we started talking, other than Francesca, Caleb is I'm trying to word this correctly. Caleb has been on the island for 18 days in between his 2 seasons, and that is the least amount of days except for Francesca, who's voted out first both times.
Yeah.
So which is just kind of like a fun, weird fact. I don't know. He didn't get a bad edit, I don't think. I think he got a very neutral edit, and I didn't love him because his pregame comments were silly, but there was no reason, if you just start watching this episode, start watching this season last week, there's no reason to not like him. I think, I don't know if Haley saved herself as much as Brad wanted Caleb gone. Because Brad mentioned at the beginning, he was like, I think Caleb's got to go first. Because I think he has more control over Ty when Caleb's not around, because Ty was so tied to Caleb. And Brad said, I need Ty and Debbie with me, which is Brad and Debbie, the greatest alliance to be. But I think Brad knew that he has more control over Ty without Caleb. Now, who knows how much control he actually has over Ty past this episode? I don't know. But that Brad outwardly said that. So that's why Caleb went, I think.
Yeah, and I will say it's a smart move on Brad's part, and Brad's playing very well right now, because the thing with Brad here is he had said pregame he would like to work with somebody like Debbie. Well, Debbie is crazy. If you're already saying that you'd like to work with her, then you kind of know her shtick. So you're saying, okay, there's 3 people from Korong. And this is an interesting situation here, too. It was 3 from Korong and 2 from Worlds Apart, and then Brad. So Brad
I actually didn't even think of the 3 from Korong until someone mentioned it, which was ridiculous to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So you sit there and he can say, okay, I want to work with Debbie. I could work with Ty, but Ty is always going to put Caleb over me. And if Debbie says, I'll go with them because they're the easy 3, getting rid of Haley, all of a sudden him and Sierra are the next 2 to go. So now I think Brad is actually in a good spot where he's kind of in the middle. And I don't know where the rest of these women stand, really. Haley's clearly on the bottom, and her and Sierra clearly don't have that much of an alliance. But I think he did a good job of getting rid of his biggest threat at this point, which is really weird to say because I don't view Caleb really as a threat.
I think it was smart of him to keep Haley, because I think Caleb said something during tribal council. He was like, oh yeah, Haley has so many friends in the other tribes, and Haley was like, what? No, I don't. And she kind of doesn't. She didn't have any major connections. So now Haley can go to Brad, because Brad didn't necessarily save her, but he didn't get rid of her when she's at first glance the more obvious choice. So I could see Brad and Haley working together. Haley and Sierra had a very weird. Sierra worded their relationship very boldly. Obviously, they don't have much of a relationship, but she said in front of her, I think she said once in a confessional and once in front of her, Haley and I have no relationship. And I guess she was trying to prove the point of, if we're on the same season, we aren't always super close, a la Caleb and Ty, but it was almost aggressive. And if I was Haley, I would have been like, yeah, but that makes it sound like you don't want to work with me in the future. That was a very weird reasoning on Sierra's part.
I'm going to be honest. I wouldn't even be so worried if I'm Haley. If I'm one of the others, I'm sitting there thinking, are they overplaying this? Because it almost seemed like Sierra was was really overplaying what she was saying there, where it's like, we don't have any relationship. We have nothing. And it's almost like you have something. You have some sort of bond. You're on the same season. You're around the same age. Like, you have some sort of even if you don't hang out, you guys know each other better than anybody. Don't act like you guys are nothing. And if I'm sitting there, I'm like, why is she trying to say so much that they're nothing? It almost seemed like she was covering it up.
It did. But I think the only reason it didn't seem like that is because Haley was like, whatever. Like, Haley didn't give a crap that she said it, which was kind of funny. She seems super chill. I like her. But she didn't fight back, and she didn't outwardly confirm it either. It was more just like Sierra said, we have no relationship. And Haley was like, meh. Yeah, I feel that too. So it seemed like Sierra was, I don't, maybe Sierra was trying to play, but Sierra and Haley, did they have a single conversation tonight? I don't think so.
Not that we saw. I don't think.
Yeah, so I feel like if they were trying to overplay it, we would have seen them talking elsewhere, which we didn't.
Yeah, no, that's true. I will say I thought Haley was phenomenal. I thought her back was against the wall, and I thought she did a very good job of making her argument against Caleb. Pretty much everything Caleb did, she turned against him. And I thought it was great when Brad was like, she's not becoming attorney. She's doing a great job. Because I thought she really was.
She was doing a good job, and she didn't over scramble. She obviously knew going into it, okay, Caleb is the big hunky guy and I am not, but she wasn't like, oh my God, Caleb is the worst, we need to get rid of him. She was very cool, very calm, very collected, and I think that really worked to her advantage, because if you're down 5-1, if you're down 4-2 but kind of 5-1, it's so easy to just freak out and throw someone else's name out and throw them under the bus 100 times, but she didn't, and I think that was great for her.
Yeah. No, I thought she did. I thought she did a really good job tonight. Thought she was pretty impressive. I still think Sierra's kind of got her finger on the pulse, and she's proving that like she can sway some things too. And I thought it was interesting how like her and Brad were the two who decided this. I wish Debbie would have gone. I will say that when this tribe shook out.
I know you do, because you can't stand her.
I can't stand her.
You can't stand her. But finish your sentence, and then
I was gonna say I just
a counter.
Debbie brings the same thing every episode. It's not that I can't stand Debbie. It's just that like every episode, I know we're going to get some weird remark from Debbie. We're going to get whatever else from Debbie, and she's never really going to be in control of the game. And that's just Debbie. And like, I get it. When I saw this tribe shake out, I said Caleb and Debbie are my first two choices. Caleb's gone. I still wish it would have been Debbie. Kind of hope Debbie goes next if that tribe goes again.
Okay, so Debbie, you don't like Debbie because she's not going to take control of this game. Is Ty going to take control of this game?
Well, no, Ty's not going to take control, but Ty entertains me more than Debbie.
Yeah, I think they're both entertaining, but in very different ways. But first of all, I think Debbie's a smarter person to have around than Ty, because Caleb, I don't know anything about Caleb, so I don't know if Debbie's smarter to have around than Caleb. But I think it was Brad who made the point. Debbie's loyal. Ty has proven tonight he's just like, okay, I'm going to vote for this person because someone told me to. Debbie, you need to play her game. But I really think Brad can play her game. I think he can stroke her ego a bit and be like, yes, Debbie, like, you're so right. This is who we should go. This is who should go. But I think she's loyal. I think she'll stay with you.
No, and she might. Ty's proven he's all over the place. Debbie seems like she's loyal, but Debbie just she just talks and talks and talks and talks. And I could see, I don't know. I know what we're going to get from Debbie. I don't want Debbie to go so far in this game. It was kind of like, what do we always say with Abby Maria during Cambodia? If Abby Maria goes home when Wu went home, that was a perfect amount of Abby Maria. But Abby Maria kept going, and it wouldn't stop. And you're like, oh my God, okay, now it's too much. And that's—
You think Debbie is as annoying as Abby?
No, she's not as annoying as Abby. I'm just saying there's a certain limit to how much you can take of it. And
I can handle a lot of Debbie. I like quirkiness. Abby is just mean.
I can handle a lot more of Ty. Let me.
Well, actually, Ty, at least the Ty. This was so briefly mentioned, but when JT was showing them their new Nuku home, he was like, "Oh yeah, these are our chickens. They run free." And I was like, "Wow, Ty literally trains these chickens to just like never run away. That's kind of cool."
Yeah. Oh, and I also, just before we get into comments, which I think we should do because we've been going on for a little bit here, but I do want to say the Varner and Malcolm talking about how they hit. By the way, Malcolm said Survivor jackpot, so he said the first episode title. Whoever said the episode 1 title doesn't count for the prop bet because we said it wouldn't, because last year everybody knew it was Will Wall, so we wanted to avoid that. Moving back on though, Varner and Malcolm having their conversation about how they felt like they won a reward for some reason. I thought that was so, they were like in paradise. They were so happy. Like, I love how much fun these people are having playing this game right now. Even when they're paranoid and they're worried, they're having so much fun doing it. I'm loving it.
Malcolm is having so much fun, and I think because he probably just has fun doing anything. And Varner's having so much fun because I think he actually is possibly, maybe, potentially could stay for longer than like we all planned on him staying, which is great. One other thing before we get to comments. I know that this was technically episode 3 because we had episode 1 was the premiere and episode 2, Tony went home. But did you notice in the recap, Sierra is not mentioned? This was all the recap of Tony.
Sierra was like
Sierra got
abused on
seriously
this season.
shafted.
Yeah, she got abused on
So
this
shafted on this season. And I'm not a huge Sierra fan, but I was like, come on, like give her something. She was on this show.
Yeah. No, I agree. They gave her nothing. I mean, you know, somebody gets it every time. It's still Sierra. She still has a big enough fan base. She was the first boot. She's still gonna be more loved than Vetus ever was. So it is what it is. But yeah, no, I did find that weird. But she didn't fit into the storyline.
No, she didn't. Actually, she's a game changer because she voted out her mom.
Well, yeah, but that's it. That's all
On
she
to
got
comments.
ever. Well, no, before we do comments, MVP, LVP, Alexa, we got to do that.
MVP for me is Brad. And
He's not
my
on your team. No. You want to defend somebody on your team.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, don't do
that. MVP is Haley because my team is awesome.
That's your whole pitch for why it's Haley? That's it?
Well, yes, but we made this argument like 7 minutes ago. Like Haley very well could have been the first one going home. She didn't scramble. She lawyered Caleb home. She has a potential new ally in Brad. I think she's in a good spot. She's totally my MVP.
And I'm gonna say, I'm gonna throw up Ty as my MVP for my team because my team doesn't have anybody on it who could be MVP. And I'm gonna say Ty strictly for the reason that he actually voted off probably he proved to me at least he's there to play the game, and this time he's got his head in it more than he did the last time. So that's why I'll say Ty.
Okay, who's your LVP?
Well, we got to do Will's team first.
Will's MVP. Oh, Will has Troyzan and Brad.
I know, and that's why I didn't want you to say Brad.
Boy, well, that's too little, too late.
I think Troyzan or Brad could be good. I mean, everybody vote for who you think, but I would say we always did this with the Phantom Tribe anyway, since Will's pretty much the Phantom Tribe. We would always just throw up like two people if two deserved it because they can't really defend themselves. So, I mean, Troyzan or Brad is a good choice there. So,
I guess it's pretty much if you consider it a long-term MVP versus a episode MVP.
Oh, it's supposed to be for the episode, not for long-term.
Right, but I guess Troyzan's potential. Sorry, I'm now on the Troyzan train. Troyzan's potential for MVP can last beyond this episode.
Troyzan's potential can last forever because he's the man. But yeah, wow. Troyzan and Brad.
Okay, let's move on.
LVP. We always hate doing LVP because there never really is one. Might be Sandra.
And my LVP has to be. Does mine have to be for my tribe?
No, it can be. No, you just say one person who you think is LVP.
Why would you? Sandra didn't do anything. I don't think she's the LVP.
She was the only one who was against who was for the goat thing, and she's pretty vocal about it.
Well, she's vocal about everything.
Yeah, but can you name somebody else who did something more wrong on this episode?
You can make the argument for Ty.
No, but he's my MVP.
So he can't be my LVP? That's good. This is us disagreeing. Actually, Ty.
You should have said JT was your MVP too. It seems like everybody wants JT.
I know, but JT didn't. Haley saved herself. JT.
Well, everybody, post in the comments here who you think MVP was.
Yeah, give us MVP and LVP. Tell us that we're right or wrong.
Ooh, Andrea could also be LVP.
Because Andrea, the worst actress of all time.
That was terrible.
That was horrendous.
But she's also on my team. So somebody pick somebody from Will's team. But anyway, in terms of...
Sandra's on Will's team. There you
go. In terms of eliminator game, nobody got eliminated this week. So Jimmy O, you're still the only one out. Everybody else is still in. Let's do comments.
Sorry, Jimmy O.
We have a bunch. We always get a lot. So let's see here. Sarah asks, were the plates with the buffs male and female or by tribe? Because how else would they be evenly split men and women? It was definitely by male or female because otherwise, they wouldn't have been evenly split. And for it to be 5-1-5-1, they would have never let that happen purposely.
And I think I noticed him. I noticed Jeff kind of going like a waiter, just going two different ways with his hands. So yeah, I definitely think it was male versus female.
It had to be.
Whoa.
We got.
Oh, you sound like a robot, Phil.
Am I back now normal? That happens every now and then.
You're slightly improved.
How about now?
Not great. You're still you're staticky, kind of like last time. Hello? I can't hear you, Phil. I cannot hear you. I cannot hear you. Uh-oh. I hear you. See your mouth moving, but I can't hear you. Can't hear you talking, which is not ideal. Well, we will get to comments, everyone, as soon as we work out this little broadcast kink we got going on. Oh, I see a light bulb going off. Come on, Phil. Try turning it off and turning it back on. All right, sorry guys. We're trying to figure this out here. Let's see if I can help him out here. It's okay, Phil. Let's see your mouth's moving and see you're trying. All right, stand by. We're still working on this little broadcast kink. I know Phil has the comments that Phil's gonna check out the comments. In your MVP and LVP voting, we're still working on this. I'm sorry that there's the microphones or the headphones, the computers, something's a little bit off here. So yeah, we're working on that. Let's look at. Oh, looks like Phil jumped off for a second, but I think he's gonna come right back on. So looks like for my MVP, I had obviously I gave that reasoning a little bit ago. I know Phil.
Can you hear me?
There you are. Yes, you're back.
What the? I'm not even kidding. This is going to be great. I mean, this is just probably fantastic. But anyway.
Well, thank God you're back, because I was about to start blabbing about how great my MVP was again.
All I want to say is I unplugged and plugged in the microphone about 15 times, and it's showing up that my voice was coming through. And then when I tried to do it just through the sound, the normal sound, it didn't show up that I was coming through. So I don't know what was going on. I have no clue what that was. Like, I have no idea. I'm none.
That's super. I think it's something to do with the live stream, because remember, I think it was one of the first times that it was just me and you. I froze, but you couldn't see me, so I had to X out and come back in. I think it has something to do with the stream. We'll
just blame Google. I mean,
we should blame it on Will, honestly.
They have enough. Google has enough money, so does Will. I hate them both.
All right, let's get to comments.
Now that we're back, anybody who's stuck around through that, we should like, this will be our first edited episode ever. We'll throw in like some music or something, like some funky music.
We should put in some Survivor music.
Boom. No, I was thinking like some real funk stuff.
I was thinking some Survivor music, but vote if you want funky music, or because that's what we're talking about.
So we got Sarah. Who do you think braids Ozzy's hair?
That's an important question. Actually, I didn't notice this. I can't take credit for it. I think it was back last week. It was Ozzy, Debbie, Andrea, and Sierra all had their hair done in the same way.
I bet
they all had. Go ahead.
I bet you Ozzy knows how to do it, probably because he's always had long hair. So I bet like they all did it to each other.
His hair was. How long is his hair in South Pacific?
That's where it was really long. I think it was actually the other stuff that it wasn't that long. In the first one.
Yeah. Cook Islands he definitely couldn't have braided it. And then Micronesia, I don't think he could have braided it either.
No, Micronesia, he had the flat top, but it was curly.
The flat top. Wow, you've paid a lot of attention to Ozzy's hair.
I like Ozzy's hair.
I don't know, but whoever styles it, they do a pretty good job, because his hair looks very nice, and I'm not the biggest fan of the man bun.
Well, there you go. That answers that. Gamer Girl, was this the first episode they had a tribe swap at the very beginning of the episode? I do think it's the first one they ever had it where like Jeff just says, "Come on in, guys." I mean, I know that there's been seasons or there's been episodes where they've done it before the first commercial break, but I don't think they ever have done it where it was like, "Come on in." That's the first thing to say.
It was super weird because normally you have going to one of the tribes and someone's like, "I'm so confident, everything is in such a great place," and then they switch it up. And then they didn't. I don't think there was a confessional. I think Sandra made the confessional right when Jeff announced the tribe swap because she said, "Oh, I was leading the sheep to the slaughter," which was really good foreshadowing to her wanting to kill the goat. But it was weird. There was no hanging out at camp beforehand, which was odd because you usually get something from the night of tribal, something the morning after. But no, we just walked right in.
Very weird.
Yeah, I didn't love it. It wasn't very. I didn't love it. It wasn't very natural.
I'm okay with it though because it got right to the point. Jar Jar Minks, if you were on Survivor, would you have been able to eat the goat? I'm glad they all stood up to Sandra.
Do I eat it or do I kill it? Those are two different.
Yeah. See, if somebody killed it and it was already like whatever they have to do to the goat after they kill it, and just to be cooked, I'd eat it if it was cooked for me. I wouldn't go and I wouldn't be the one who's like actively doing it.
I would eat it if I never saw the goat the first time, and if the only time I ever looked at it, it was already in like steak form. But other than that, that cute looked like my dog. I mean, that goat looked like my dog. Like that goat looked so freaking cute. I don't think I could have done it.
I couldn't have. Let's see here. Giovanni Oriana, does this 5-1 make the voting more important since they can't split the votes?
Ooh, splitting the votes in 6 is tough.
Well, but normally in this situation, they could have just done 2-2-2 in hopes that Haley or Caleb didn't have an idol. If Caleb would have pulled out an idol, they would have been in trouble.
Yeah,
they could have possibly been in trouble.
Yeah, they could have. I don't know. I don't think anyone's going to try it. I think they're all a little scared of it.
Yeah, because normally in this situation, if there's 2 targets and it's 4-2, the 4 people just say, okay, guys vote for the guy, girls vote for the girl. Moving on, 2-2-2, whatever. Nobody plays an idol. We just vote for Caleb. They couldn't play the safety net here.
Yeah, well, that's the point. There is no safety net anymore.
Which I kind of like. I like it in this situation because it saves us from a pointless vote.
Yeah, I like it in that sense. I don't love I guess I could say this more for the previous episodes, Tony and Sierra. I don't love just like the straight up 7-2 votes or the 9-1. I don't love those votes, but I also just hate when they're like, okay, we'll split the votes, and the person they wanted to go still goes home. Because I like a little bit more strategy because now splitting the votes has become such the norm. So I think they're still just adjusting as to how to play that correctly.
Mm-hmm. Leanne Rod, I never thought I'd say this, but Brad, Troyzen, and Sierra, they were great this episode. Very great, especially Brad. And yeah, it's pretty crazy that Troyzen and Brad had 2 of the most positive edits, I feel like, tonight. They really did. They had there was nothing bad to be said about either of them.
So I like Troyzen. I don't love him the way that you do, but I do really like him, and he gets a lot of hate. A lot of people don't like him, and I haven't done a One World rewatch. I haven't watched One World since it aired, but I don't remember him being particularly unlikable. I think Brad was a lot more unlikable than Troyzen. Troyzen was dealt a tough hand and got frustrated because there were a bunch of these girls around him who wouldn't listen to him. So I don't have the biggest problem with Troyzen. Brad is just a complete 180, which I'm into. I'd rather like someone than not like them, but this is not the Brad that I knew, and I'm very much okay with it.
I'm just saying with Troyzen, the reason that people don't like him, I think, is because at the reunion, he said people were coming up to him on the street saying he was like the greatest player ever and comparing him to Richard Hatch. And that was so
let's dial that back a minute.
Cringeworthy. And I think a lot of the Survivor community was like, this guy is an idiot, which I love Troyzen. I think
that's a pretty dumb comment.
Oh, it's so dumb. But I think he's just so into it and so serious that it's kind of like, all right,
he's really into it. Like, he's kind of like Malcolm. He just like loves playing. So I'll give him that.
Yeah. Gamer Girl asks, if Mana went to Tribal, how come Nuku was given the bigger storyline? I never understand when or why Survivor does this. I just think it's because Nuku is the most interesting tribe.
Well, yeah, it is a complete 180 from last week because we never saw any. We didn't see anything from Nuku. Everyone was saying Andrea was invisible, which I didn't agree with, but now it's not looking wonderful for her. But yeah, they just.
She was in it.
Yeah, she did, but she also, her tribe didn't lose. So again, her tribe keeps winning, so why talk to her? And she can't lie, so why talk to her? But yeah, Nuku is just, it's like an all-star tribe. It's really fun. So, and also they had the goat scene. No one else had a goat scene, so yeah, you got to show that.
Yeah, and like that Nuku tribe, that's 6 people from like 6 different times in Survivor's history all playing together. Like that's what you want. Like
yeah, exactly.
Let's see. Yeah, now people are asking, is it purple Aubry, which is interesting. But T-Rex says, is Ty's willingness to give away information a benefit or hindrance to his allies?
Oh, can you repeat that sentence? You went completely blank there.
It's also because I can't speak. Is Ty's willingness to give away information a benefit or hindrance to his allies? And
then what did you say?
I didn't say anything. I kind of just stopped. So maybe that's why you thought I went blank. I actually didn't speak.
Oh, I saw you kind of point. I thought you were trying to make a forthright statement. I think that's a huge hindrance. He'll tell anyone anything.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a huge hindrance to him. He'll tell anyone anything. He spilled the beans to Suri last episode. Brad played him like a fiddle this episode. Ty is not a good Survivor player. He's a wonderful person and he's a great character, but he's not a good player.
Yeah, agreed. Gamer Girl, was this the first time someone had a confessional during a challenge? No, they've done it before. And I actually don't like when they do it because it starts to feel like a different type of reality show. It starts to feel like a Big Brother, or what was that Sylvester Stallone show that was on, like Strong? Anybody watch Strong?
There was a Sylvester Stallone. I don't think we should do that.
That was a great show, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I'm okay with like after they won when he's getting the idol, but in the middle of the challenge, yeah, I love the challenges. I like watching the challenges and taking away the strategy for a little bit. So yeah, I feel like those are sacred.
Yeah.
It'd be like, has there ever been a confessional during? It's like a confessional during like tribal council. Like,
well, they wouldn't do that. Thank God.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would not be good. I would not be happy with that.
No, that would be awful. That's different though. Leon Rod, JT versus Sandra next week. No, come on, they're supposed to work together. They're the last winners left. Why this?
We know what happened when 2 winners were supposed to work together.
They honestly, winners just can't work together. They even said it on All Stars. But they just have such a hard time working together. Heroes versus villains. JT and Tom are going at each other. Like, it's just very hard for winners to work together.
And it's pretty funny because it's not like every winner has the only quality that all winners share is that they've won. JT and Sandra are 2 very different players. Obviously, Tokenchine's JT is very different from our current JT. He's outwardly said he wants to play more aggressive. And Heroes versus Villains, he wants to play more aggressive. But he's not as naturally aggressive as Sandra. So you would think that all winners as allies, it would be not your standard alliance, but it would be similar in that there's a lot of different personalities. They just all happen to have won before. So it is pretty crazy that winners alliances don't work.
Yeah, and I think it's just because they might say we're going to play, we're going to be fine, we'll be up with the winners, but eventually your ego hits you and you just can't stop. I think that's what it is.
I think it's all about I've won, and Sandra literally thinks she's the greatest. So yeah, I could see that ego being a little difficult to work with.
Yeah. Let's see here. Mateus S says, do you think there were idols on all tables or just the one team that found the clue? It was just the one that found the clue. Because I'm pretty sure they did the same thing with Wentworth. They weren't going to hide it unless somebody found it.
It was, and that was, yeah, that's true. They wouldn't hide it unless someone found it. But what if he finds that clue and then doesn't get the opportunity to get the idol from the table? Do they plant it at the next table? Is that moot? Was that clue planted for just this? I know that's more production-based questions, but that bottle was just, I don't like when idol clues are just sitting around. I like when you have to search for them, and that bottle was just kind of like sitting in the beach. I thought that was a little weirdly planted. So I don't know. I was like, is that bottle only there on their beach? I don't know. couple weird production questions
I don't know.
on that.
Maybe they heard Troyzan was in trouble and they were just following him around and somebody was like plop it
throw
out.
an idol, toss him one.
Put a little leaf over the top of it, see what happens. I think that if he doesn't find it there, he's probably done. They probably gave him one chance to find it because that is like you're at this challenge. If you want to find it, go for it. There's a one-time opportunity. If you don't get it, you're done. Because where are they going? They're going to give him another clue and say it's hidden right here. Like no.
Yeah, and the first clue was pretty distinct in where it was, so they really laid it out for him. Maybe I'll reread the whole clue and see if there's anything that says this is like because it says something about like the next challenge or whatever.
Yeah. Let's see here. We have Giovanni Rihanna. Do you think Troyzan should wear the idol at Tribal, tell someone he has it, or just use the idol and not tell anyone? I never tell anyone.
I hate the wearing it. I don't love cocky players, so I don't love the Russell wearing it on your neck. No, I think the best thing to do with an idol is to tell absolutely no one about it. I know that's like probably very old school, and that's not you're not in as much of a power position outwardly, but the best thing to do with an idol is to not speak.
I agree. I mean, look what it did for Adam at the end of the game last season.
Exactly.
Wonders.
True wonders.
Yeah. We pretty much already said Gamer Girl that we thought I would have rather seen Debbie go, and I think Alexa was on Team Ty, but I mean, I think getting rid of Caleb is fine. You can control Ty a little bit more.
What's Gamer Girl's question? I'm trying to deduce it based on.
Do you think it should have been Debbie or Ty instead of Caleb?
I mean, from a winning challenges perspective, yeah.
But I mean, either way, I think Ty is probably. I think that like Caleb also comes in with like he was kind of siding with Tony, and Haley could say that to them if she really wanted to. So.
Yeah, Haley didn't even have to say that.
Yeah.
And also Caleb, I forget who asked him, but early on, I think even before they lost the challenge, I'm not sure. Caleb said, I was close with Jeff Farner and Malcolm. And he actively put two names there. And Haley, I guess, never had someone she was close to, but she didn't put a face to her alliance. And I think that wasn't great for Caleb to have done that. Obviously, that was just a natural conversation, but I don't think that's great for him because, like, oh my gosh, Caleb's aligned with Malcolm. That's terrifying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see. We got Vaughn Stewart. Is new Nuku the greatest pre-merge tribe in the modern era? Post heroes versus villains. Hey, Vaughn. I think it. I want to see it play out more, but in like the one episode we've seen of them now, and just the 6 people who are on it, I love it. Like I love it.
Yeah, I need to watch it play out more, and I'll have to look up pre-merge tribes like in this recent era, but I don't know. They're super fun. In one episode, I've really enjoyed them. So I don't know if I want to put that label on it just yet, but I'm pretty happy with them so far. I don't want them to lose.
I mean, you could really make the argument, in my opinion, that the tribe from Philippines with Zane, Malcolm, Denise, Russell Swan, Angie, and I think her name was Roxy. She's like the only weak link there.
That's definitely got your entertainment value.
Yeah,
and my favorite winner of all time.
Exactly. So I think that I want to see a little bit more, but I am very excited. I don't want them to lose because I don't want to lose anybody from there.
Exactly. I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose any of them, especially now that we have two tribes going to tribal.
Yeah. Survivor CBS fan says, I was surprised to see past tribal lines actually taking a huge part in the vote. What are your thoughts? I was surprised too. I didn't think it would have as much of an impact. I thought it would have a little, but this was a lot.
I think it had a lot of impact because 2 of them had 5-to-1 ratios.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, even if you're not close with anyone, that's just like, oh, wow, what do I do with this? And the only 4-2 had 2 people who like were kind of floaters already, Haley and Caleb.
Yeah. No, it's true. Haley and Caleb weren't really aligned with anyone.
Sandra and Malcolm went. It's not like Sandra and Malcolm were the 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, let's jump over to YouTube. So so we have AT saying, do you think they're setting up JT for a downfall or for something great? And do you think JT could find an idol next episode? I think it's for a downfall, but I think he might be the one who takes out Sandra. And then I think he falls. Like
kind of a Colby Jerry thing. One always goes right after the other.
Exactly.
I don't know. I can't really tell. I think his only chance. I think his best chance to survive is if he finds an idol. I'm not confident that he's going to find an idol because they just showed him with like a failed idol hunt, even though that was only like 10 seconds or whatever. I don't know. I'm not too sold on it. And they're not going to do the same thing they did with Troyzan, obviously. If they do, it's going to be something different. Maybe he'll get the infamous idol at Tribal Council under his seat or in the bottle thing, wherever it could be.
Exactly. I'm really curious.
You heard it here first, people. You heard it here first.
Is that just going to be like a burning bottle in the middle of the fire that somebody has to reach out and grab them?
Yeah, you got to dive into the fire and get it.
Yeah, right. Like,
and it's like, and the clue is inscribed on like a rock. That would be cool.
So that you won't even get it for burning yourself. You just get a clue.
Yeah, you get a clue, and then it's like in the water somewhere back home.
Yeah. I don't know, but I think he's gonna find something, and I think he's gonna be the one who takes out Sandra. But then I think he's doomed right after that.
I think he could take out Sandra. I think that's more of a Malcolm move, though. I honestly think it's Malcolm's idea, and JT is like, oh, thank God.
Is Varner actually gonna make it out of this? Is Varner gonna see Jeremy?
Well, I was about to say, what does make it out of this mean? Because does he make it out of one vote? Does he make it to the end? Does he make it to the jury?
Well, I'm looking at this as Sandra and JT seem like JT seems like he's clearly the target, and it seems like JT will go after Sandra. Is Varner?
Well, let's do a little.
Varner gonna make it.
There's 17 people left, and we're assuming we have a 13 player merge.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's got to
survive 3 votes. Because next week they're probably going to go and Mana's probably going to go. And then we're down to 15 with 2 episodes. So he's got to survive 2 more with either Sandra or JT still in his tribe. And then somebody else.
But maybe there's another flip. Maybe they go back to 2 tribes.
Oh, God. Varner's not going to make it. All right, anyway.
I don't know. I mean, ideally, I think we're confident because he hasn't gone home yet. I think the bar is just so low that we're like, oh my God, he's going to the end, even though he's only survived 3 tribals. Well, technically, he's only survived 2.
Yeah, he has. Yeah. All right. Once Sakasta, if Ozzy and Suri can bury the hatchet, how much damage can they do?
Oh my God, I would love for them to bury the hatchet. So much. And now they've proven that Ozzy's more so has proven that he's slightly more interested in working with her because he kind of has to. And I hope it doesn't become the winners have to stay together. It's not like the legends have to stay together and then it turns out they hate each other 20 minutes later. I think they'd be so dangerous because you have Ozzy the challenge threat and you have Suri the strategic threat. That's your dream team.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I just think, like, how do they bury the hatchet completely? And I also think that if they do, people aren't going to really expect it.
I think if people don't expect it, that's a good thing, though. Maybe they could be kind of like quasi.
You can keep it hidden because, like, I don't think people are going to expect them to come together. It's just like, how can they finally do it?
Well, Ozzy's not the most outwardly social person. It's not like Ozzy and Sierra are going to be hanging out 24/7.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd really like them to do it. I think the hatchet is more buried than we think it is. I think they played it up a little bit in episode 1, and I definitely fell for it. But Ozzy said, like, yeah, I'm kind of over it. She's just not great in challenges. And like that was what he said was more why he wanted her to go home.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. We'll see with the 6 people tribe. It's always hard. I don't really see them losing if they get through next week. I think they're good, but we'll see. Let's see here. We also got Wences saying, I might be the only one, but the Troyzan rear right corner comment might beat the 5 paces comment and Token Sheens is funniest. I actually don't recall. Maybe I'm the worst.
The 5 paces?
No, the rear right corner. What did he say about the rear right corner?
Oh, he was reading the clue and it was pointing out where it was. The clue was pointing out exactly where on the table the idol was, and he outwardly said like rear right corner, like kind of to think about it. So yeah, it's kind of funny.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. And then let's appreciate Survivor Bambi. Seriously, though, did Malcolm just improve his edgic and Sandra not improve based on the goat scene? Hell, I didn't hear the Brad quote all night. That Survivor Bambi scene that was great.
Yeah, that Malcolm's winner edit has been confirmed with the Bambi quote.
Yeah. Gregory Fuller, you guys relied on the preview too much to determine who is in danger, considering most of the players at the bottom are from blue, which they do
absolutely did.
Both winners on that tribe. I mean, we did, and we admitted it because we didn't get much else. And I normally don't go that much based on the preview, but knowing nothing else and it being so early in the game, I took my chance. I'll be right the rest of the season. It just took one misstep.
Let's knock ourselves down a little bit. A singular misstep. That's what it was.
Maybe our first mistake I've made the entire time I've been doing this.
And Caleb on your fantasy team. Probably not your best move.
Oh, you're so confident right now, and your whole tribe.
I am so confident.
Your whole team's gonna go boom, 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 boom.
This is what we get for not snaking the draft. I already won.
I'm feeling it.
Yeah. What was the question?
There was none. I just wanted to read the comment. Moving on, the real Negro.
We depend too much on and I usually don't because I know they just like throw a lot of crazy stuff at you to throw you off. So yeah, we depended too much. You're totally right.
I'm okay with it. The real Negro, what's up, guys? Really disappointed in this episode. This would be a good episode when I binged the season. Also, I knew Caleb was done right when they lost immunity. I wish the editors pulled one on us. Haley went because they just made it too obvious to me. What are your guys' thoughts? I'm so happy Haley didn't go because I like Caleb, but not enough. And I really liked Haley a lot. So
I don't think it was super obvious. I think, well, it was a bit like the Sierra vote out where his name was mentioned before the challenge. And I was like, that's not great for him. But I don't know. You could go both ways because when Tony got voted out, I was so confused because I feel like I didn't see why he went home. And this time I totally saw why Caleb went home and they made it pretty clear. It's a bit of a, can't win scenario.
What I'm going to say is I was actually a little worried for Debbie because they had her have the confessional right after the challenge where she's like, I know. Haley or Caleb, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, wait, Debbie done?
Like it's person A or person B, and everyone is so confident in it. I was like, oh, God, Debbie is going home. But she was never even part of the conversation.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry to hear that, Phil, because I know you wanted her gone forever.
I did. Get away from me. All right, Gamer Girl. Let's see. I think them voting out Caleb was a mistake. A lot of people aren't going to like this comparison, but he was like Jed in a way where after he's voted out, the tribe keeps losing and losing and losing. Suk Jai kept losing after Jed was voted out. By the way, that's a Thailand reference. Anybody who's keeping track.
I was about to. I thought you mispronounced Judd, and I was like, oh wow, but that was a Thailand reference. Wow, I need to brush up on my Thailand references. Yeah, I mean, that's not going to be good for them, but at the same time, 2 tribes are losing next week, so their chances are already low. I know they didn't know that, but I don't think they're looking short term. I think Brad's looking long term. Allegedly, Ty is looking long term.
Allegedly. I like how allegedly Ty's. I like
allegedly.
Let's see here. We have William Fauntleroy. I'm so excited for my first live stream. I've been refreshing the page for 10 minutes because I saw the channel a few weeks ago and fell in love. So thank you for making all these videos. By the way, I'm a huge Sandra fan. Hope she wins again. What do you guys think? Well, I think it's great that you found us and you're part of the live stream. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, subscribe.
Yeah,
throw us a subscribe.
It's only going to get better. Wow,
the bar has been raised, Phil.
Yeah, I know. Well, it can't get worse. But yeah,
if Sandra wins for a third time, I'm a big Sandra fan. But where do you go from here when Sandra wins 3 times and no one else has ever won twice?
You don't. You cancel the show.
Cancel the show.
That's it.
Like you give her the check and then you just shut it down. No, I love her. I think it's funny. Everyone says if you take a winner to the end, they'll never let the winner win a second time. Clearly, that has been disproven.
Mm-hmm.
A third time, let's say we have a Sandra versus Saray, or a Sandra versus Troyzan. Someone who has wanted it for so long. A Sandra versus Ozzy. Do you give it to Sandra again?
Yeah, I would. If she makes it to day 39 and she's sitting there at the final tribal, I vote for her. I don't even know. I mean, granted, I don't know what they're thinking while they're out on the island. To me, I
don't know what they're thinking because she's still there.
That's the most impressive thing ever, and I give her the money. The fact that she is now going into episode 3 or 4, whatever we're calling it, but she's going to be on our TV for at least 3 weeks. If she survives next week,
you got to quit. Cancel the podcast.
My brain hurts. Let's see here. We got Johnny Talks Sports, not bad. Just 2 points in the bootless game. I think I'm the leader. That's pretty good. I don't know if you're the leader. I haven't scored it yet. I'm sure there's a couple people with 0 because we had a lot of entries, so I'm sure somebody got lucky on this one or on the first 3. But 2 points is pretty good. Better than what we're doing, that's for sure.
Yeah, I am not doing well.
But we'll add those up. We'll read those out on the predictions episode. Giovanni, with the fun fact, Ozzy is very close to breaking the Survivor record for most days played in Survivor. And I thought it was interesting tonight. Anybody
he said 115 days.
And anybody keeping track, I said this during Cambodia when Joe Englund in his first confessional said, last time I didn't make the family visit, and that's what I wanted to do. And I said, he is going to make the family visit of this season, and that's going to be it. Ozzy's going to break the record for most days played, and then he's going to get booted.
the episode after, probably.
No, I really think that, because that's his story.
115 days is a long time.
That's a third of a year playing Survivor.
Wow, because he's made it far every time he's played.
Yeah. No, he has. You know,
that was insane. I was curious if anyone was going to fact check that because I'm sure Ozzy's right because he would obviously know better than anyone else. But man, 115 is a lot. Well, I know Sari's close to him.
It's Parvati who's got them, or Parvati and Boston Rob. I think Boston Rob has the most, but he played 4 times.
Oh, well, I think Boston Rob played. Oh, Ozzy's played 4 times, so we can't. That's not fair.
Yeah, but I think Parvati from her 3 times has the second most or the most. Somebody's probably telling us right now, and I'm just not looking.
Yeah, someone tell us how wrong we are. Actually, Parvati would make sense.
No, because she made it to what, 4th place, and then final 3, and then final 2. Like, so she's got to be, she's up there. But anyway, let's see here. And then the other one from Giovanni that I'm going to read here is, does Varner have merge boot upside? And my gosh, I hope so. This is it. Ugh. Varner's making the merge. Varner's making the jury because he made a merge, guys. He just hasn't made a jury. I want him on the jury. If
he's the first member of the jury, I would still be the happiest person in the world.
Just get him on the jury. That's all I care about. And last one over here on YouTube, we got Puppy Paws 245. What do you think is Sari's position in the game right now? Because she hasn't really been given much airtime, though she is known as a great strategic player. I actually think she's been given a pretty good amount of screen time.
She's been given. I mean, for someone who has never been on the tribe that loses, she's been getting decent screen time. It's a bit like the Andrea effect, except Sari is just like amazing, and obviously Sari's gonna get more airtime than Andrea. But yeah, I think we haven't had the opportunity to see much from her, mostly because of that.
No, I agree. But I still think we've seen a pretty decent amount. I think she's in an okay spot. It's going to totally depend on her and Ozzy. I said she'd be in trouble if she got on a tribe with Ozzy. I was really worried about my eliminator pick this week because she was on a tribe with Ozzy and they looked like they were going to lose that challenge. I was like, oh God, I'm done. But yeah, no, that's about it.
Her position is slightly improved.
Yeah. So we got Jar Jar Minks. How do you think Ty feels without his chickens?
He's probably very sad. Also, because he doesn't have his Caleb.
He doesn't have his Caleb? Well, I wonder like if like the other tribe was so pumped when like Ty doesn't come back and they're like, oh man, like because they even said we're not gonna eat the goat, we got the chickens, we'll just eat a chicken. And it's like, well, Ty's not there to
mention that. Like these poor chickens, they got the short end of the stick here. Everyone's like, we're gonna kill the goat, never mind, let's just kill a chicken instead. I was like, oh wow, that's okay. I mean, I guess I get the difference between a chicken versus a goat, but I don't know. I still feel bad for the chickens whenever they kill them.
Mm-hmm. Survivor CBS fan says, how about Sari and Varner's puzzle skills?
Yeah. I mean, Zeke.
Yeah.
Zeke crushes it.
Who was Zeke with? Who did he do it with?
Sari. Sari.
Yeah, Zeke and Sari did it the first challenge too. They're really good at puzzles.
They're a good tag team.
Yeah, they're a really good duo.
Yeah. And I didn't notice Zeke's puzzle prowess much last season because I guess I wasn't paying as much attention. But he's been great so far.
There weren't many puzzles in the post-merge part of the game.
Yeah, and that's where we saw most of them.
Yeah. Let's see here. We have. Wow. Survivor CBS fan says in the Australian version, when both tribes went to tribal, the 2 vote outs swapped tribes. Think we could see this happen? I don't think so because this isn't as long of a season as that one was.
I also wouldn't like that because Unless Jeff tells them in advance, I wouldn't like that. A la Outcast twist from Pearl Islands.
I agree.
I mean, that would be interesting, but that's like a weird Redemption Island kind of thing. And
I don't know how I feel about it.
I feel like that would be cool in theory, but in practice, I wouldn't love it.
All right, and the last comment. Riley Nichols, least screen time ever goes to Sarah. Sarah had nothing tonight, and she had a pretty good first episode, so I don't know what that means. I don't know what to read into with that. I mean, she did have her moment of being so happy Tony wasn't there and like, oh my God.
I mean, the first episode was good, but I wouldn't call it like great. Like I think it was okay. I think it was good, but yeah, she had nothing. I have not been sold on Sarah, so I don't really know what her purpose is right now.
That's nice.
Also, when you're on thanks. Also, when her tribe inevitably does go to tribal, it's going to be a Suri and Ozzy. You know, it's going to be their show.
Yeah, and Troyzan with the idol now. So yeah, she's kind of going to be overshadowed.
Your boyfriend Troyzan.
Yeah, Sarah was going to be overshadowed really no matter where she went. Just because this season she's one of the least memorable to be on it. But that doesn't mean she can't do good because Haley had a pretty good episode tonight. Sierra had a pretty good episode tonight. Sarah could have a pretty good episode. It's just when your tribe's not losing, what do we need to? She wasn't part of the story, the main story. If
Brad Culpepper can be an interior designer, then I fully believe that Sarah Lucina can be a villain.
I think we should just pretty much end on that.
I think that should be hung up on someone's wall.
Yeah, with Brad Culpepper, interior designer. I just can't get over that.
I love it. I want Brad Culpepper to design my apartment.
Crazy. I whatever. He can't do mine, but my apartment doesn't have a room. But anyway.
Because I live in a glorious mansion.
Oh, here we go. Okay, we got to do this real quick, Alexa. Vaughn, you got this in just in time. So this will be the last one. It has really not much to do with Survivor. But more likely outcome. Our Miami Hurricanes over Kansas in the second round, or Sandra making the merge? And I'm going to say
go ahead.
The Hurricanes.
So I just did my bracket tonight, and I have Miami losing to Kansas. Because I have money on the first option, I'm going to Sandra making the merge.
There you go. But I think hey, I picked Kansas too, but guess what?
Yeah.
Miami could. Sandra's done.
But at the same time, we said Sandra was going home first. Sandra could make the merge. Sandra's already survived 3 tribal councils. 3 vote outs. Beaten Kansas.
Hey, all I'm saying is, if you go back and listen to all of our pregame stuff, and you and Will both were like, you're an idiot, you're an idiot, you're an idiot. I'm just saying.
Your internet cut out, so I don't even know what you said, but I'm going to disagree with you anyways, because Kansas is going to absolutely obliterate our alma mater, Miami.
Wow, you have so much faith. You guys heard it here first. If Miami does win, we should make Alexa wear like a Kansas shirt because like she's just.
I got to go find one of those first. I'm going to wear my Miami shirt the next. When we playing Sunday night?
Well, we play Friday night. If we win, we would play Sunday. So
okay,
I guess
we would probably play. We'd probably play Kansas on Sunday, assuming we beat Michigan State. So I'll wear my Miami shirt when we. And probably podcast on Sunday.
Well, here we go. And that leads into this perfect segue. Instead of talking college basketball, I'll just say we will probably be back on Sunday, or we will be back on Sunday. Our predictions and power rankings will be on Sunday. We'll get to you at the time. It does definitely 100% depend on when Miami plays. If Miami makes it there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's no way.
Miami makes it there.
Even if we get destroyed, I'm definitely watching it just because I am sick and tired of what do you call? Or I can never get sick and tired of watching us get blown out by at least 20 in the tournament. Like we did to Nova last year and Marquette the other year. We were really good. So you know what? I want to sit there, masochist and all, and watch it.
I want to know what Vaughn thinks. Which Vaughn thinks has a better chance of happening.
Well, if Vaughn's listening, I'm sure we're about to hear. But
yeah, Vaughn, let us know. Show us how much faith you have in our school. Exactly. That being said, tune in at some point Sunday. Also, you should watch the Miami Hurricanes, assuming they play on Sunday. Also, watch our podcast. Subscribe to us on watch on Friday too. We could use all the fans we can get. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow and tweet us on Twitter. Give us 5 stars on iTunes. Give our podcast a follow on iTunes. Yeah. And we'll be back on Sunday for predictions and power rankings.
And Vaughn says Miami. Just, we'll obviously end on that note.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah. All right, we'll see you guys on Sunday.